team, was there any time when you guys doubted yourselves, or was it just, let's just keep moving ahead? We see a light at the end of the tunnel. Proteomics in itself must have still been in its infancy, at least within Africa, within South Africa. Did that scare you guys, as in who will be buying these products anyway? Or did you foresee that proteomics will become a leading research area where there will be a valid market for your products?
Yeah, this is a good question. The doubt is always there. I think I have doubt every morning I wake up, and
Yeah.
it's like a roller coaster that you have with every success that you get. It's a high, and then obviously there's a lot of lows.
Yeah.
But it's part of the game. So the doubt will never go away. But look, we from the beginning I thought everybody really also focused on the bigger markets, also beyond South Africa and Africa. And we know that if you have to be successful, we need to make it in South Africa, but more importantly, we need to penetrate the international markets, because this is where the most labs are situated. So we really looked at how can we get into the European, US-based labs. And that was the strategy from the beginning. So I think that makes a difference to kind of look at beyond South Africa and see, where you're going to penetrate. It's more difficult.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, sustainability wise, this is where you have to look. And in terms of your question, whether we believed in proteomics, I mean, obviously this is a passion of mine, and we could see the potential just looking at also what's happening overseas again. But generally, if you look at what's happening in the omics space, not just proteomics, and how it's being applied in the health space,
Yeah.
in precision medicine. That's definitely, I think, the future in terms of diagnostics. And so we wanted to work in a space that, as I said, is amenable to new things. And that was one of the big drivers for us.
That sounds really great. And what is striking to me in your response is that ability to keep looking global, not just focusing on local trends or local opportunities, but actually creating a product for global consumption and keeping tabs on what is happening on a global scale, because most times it'll be slow for uptake within our local African markets, but it will happen, as it is happening now. Have you seen that trend shifting? Seen an uptake of the technology? Would you say that is likely to accelerate within the next 5 years, or has it reached sort of a cap where things are steady? What is the trend like of proteomics within Africa or South Africa at the least?
It's definitely expanding. We can also see it. I mean, I hold a joint position, so some of my time occupied by running the proteomics facility within CSIR, and we definitely see a high demand. And what we see is the transition of this field from being more of a research tool into more being applied within the clinical space particularly. And so the projects that we are more involved with now is more clinical research versus where it was more academic focused maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. And this is because of how the technology is evolving in terms of more robust, more high throughput, user-friendly, more sensitive, and so on. And then it's enabling this to be applied in more clinical research questions. But what is interesting for us is that we actually getting more traction in South Africa now that we have traction in overseas, because there's this stigma even more in South Africa than outside that, if you don't come from overseas, you're not as good as the overseas products. And so almost like people seeing that, okay, well, there's products and solutions of ours being used overseas. Now we can start using them locally. So we see more traction in South Africa because we've broken through overseas. So which is just kind of a reverse psychology, I suppose, but it's an odd one, yeah.
That is interesting. So what I'm hearing you say is you are getting traction within the South African market now because you have gained that recognition abroad, because previously you would struggle to convince someone locally that your product is good, if not as good or better than what was available. But because you've gotten that recognition now from abroad, you are now more accepted. That's quite interesting. And it's something to keep in mind.